Now, as I've already mentioned, guys, the scope of this task is greater than you could have ever imagined, right? Finding the Scranton Strangler was easy. That's not the challenge. The nature of the challenge involves multiple aspects and will require multiple teams focusing on their unique directives. Now, this is a very brief overview of each of the teams. The detailed overviews are on Patreon. Now, out of respect for the Curse of Three, I have posted 3 of them to YouTube for your convenience. Now, before you jump ahead and watch the individual overviews, they are meant to be watched in a particular order. And before you watch the overviews, I would strongly suggest you jump to the next episode, which is the Season 1 overview, and then watch the Task Force overviews after that, because some of the things are not going to make sense unless you've seen that first. So let's get straight into it. The first is the Extraterrestrial Time Traveling Task Force. The Future, Discussing the Future, Back to the Future, and the Terminator are all very strong motifs in the show. And I've created a future motif video which is available on YouTube right now for you guys to take a look at. Now, the reason this is a motif, guys, is because Dwight Schrute is a time traveler. He's stuck in a time loop. It's an infinite time loop. And I believe his primary goal is trying to fix his family. He's going into the past to try and prevent the series of events which would lead to the creation of the Scranton Strangler. Not only does he have time traveling capabilities, but his family has time traveling capabilities as well. And there's at least one moment in the show where I believe we actually see time traveling occurring. The detailed overview covers how Dwight harnesses his time traveling capabilities, and it also covers the infinite time loop. This particular detailed overview is available on Patreon. The next one is Great Scott Film Forensics. There are hundreds of movies referenced in the show, and the concept of being a cinephile or a movie buff or into movies is a repeated motif in the show. The reference to these movies are not simply there for pop cultural references. They provide us with the building blocks or the missing pieces of the story of Dwight's life. It is through the references to movies, coupled with various motifs and the things that Dwight says, for example, where we find out that Dwight, at some point in the past, came out of the grave. He was resurrected from the dead. So if you're a movie buff, this is the team for you, and this particular overview is available on YouTube. Next is the Wolf Emergency Response Team. At the peak of the show airing, NBC released a significant amount of extracurricular material. This material has since been taken down from the website but is still available on the web archives. Some of the things they released were Creed Thoughts, the Diabolical blog, Dwight and Angela's parenting contract, and there's a whole lot more, guys, right? And there are clues scattered throughout this material that helps us fill in gaps to the story of Dwight's life. For example, it is via this material that we are able to find confirmation that Dwight is not, in fact, the #1 salesman in the company. So if you're someone that likes it dog style, this is the team for you, and this overview is available on Patreon. Next is the Hay Place Bounty Hunters. This is a Where's Waldo type task force. In the background of every episode in the set, there is always hidden little objects which provide us with additional information or clues as to the greater nature of the mystery. This task force will be responsible for looking at the set with a magnifying glass, right? And bringing back those findings to the task force and fitting them in to the wider story at hand. So for all those people who want to be Hey King, this is the task force for you, and this overview is available on Patreon. Next is the Colorblind Financial Fraud Regulator. There is significant financial fraud occurring in the office. We're talking about customer theft, parallel paper businesses, even the growing of commercial quantity quantities of marijuana and the distribution of those drugs, possibly on a global scale. This task force will be responsible for crunching the numbers and getting to the bottom of this financial fraud. So if you're a gay Mexican, this is the task force for you, and this particular overview is available on Patreon. Next is the Office Ladies Tactical Interrogation Unit. The Office Ladies at this stage cannot be trusted. They will remain guilty until proven innocent. There is a significant amount of information shared around the production of the show. And believe it or not, guys, they are intentionally or unintentionally revealing a significant amount of information about how this mystery was hidden and how it was kept a secret from the majority of the people on set. The Office Ladies are officially under investigation by the Anti Strangling Task Force as accomplices to the Scranton Strangler conspiracy until they provide a statement under oath and an alibi, to which the Anti Strangling Task Force will decide their fate. So if you're a medium pregs sort of a person, this is the task force for you. This overview is available on YouTube. Next is Rogue Squadron. This is a dynamic and tactical team that is able to pick up the pieces and focus on the building blocks that are not being investigated by the other teams. Rogue Squadron has the freedom to do whatever it likes, but I do provide a little bit of guidance and a little bit more information at the nature of this mystery and the game that we are playing. I've said a number of times now, guys, we are playing a game. This episode will explain to you what that game is. So if you're a renegade, join the fist and become a part of Rogue Squadron. This overview is available on YouTube. Last but not least, we've got the Bob Kazamakis Sex Investigation Squad. Now, I don't think I really need to explain this one to you, right? Everything pertaining to this task force is strictly going to be on Patreon. I should mention now that Patreon is an 18+ only zone, including the Discord channel. If you're a Bob Kazamakis, you're probably already on Patreon right now. Now, I should mention, guys, every bit of content pertaining to this task force is never going to be shared on YouTube, unfortunately. Everything pertaining to this element of the mystery is only going to be available on Patreon. So if you're a Bob Kazamakis, this is the team for you, and this overview is available on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the Anti Strangling Task Force on Patreon for exclusive episode analysis.